This is the Roger Orozco Show.
All right, guys. The star, Ashton. Ashton's new pet dog. Wow, that's pretty awesome. All right, guys, welcome to the show. Like I said, the star, Ashton. Okay, he's holding up the election 2024. It's not official, so the election's done, but it's not official. They have until December to certify it, but it's probably going to stay like this, more than likely. And so we wrote down. So what I did is I wrote down who, Ashton's showing everybody who I thought was going to win, not who I wanted to win, but who I thought was going to win based on everything I saw and that I know what was going on for the last few months. So the day before the election, I wrote down who I thought was going to win. If I was betting my house on it, these were who's probably going to win, not who I wanted to win. Let me make that clear. I wanted pretty much all the opposite to win, but this is who I thought this is who I thought was going to win. And turn it the other way, Ash. And so I got them. Well, let me just say it, for the second election in a row, I got them all right. And I'm going to tell you real quick why I made that decision. So the day before, I sat down and I dated it, and I put all the people who I thought were going to win. So now I'm going to tell you why. All right, Ash is going to hold the sign. Yeah. So this is what I thought was going to happen, and it looks like it is. Mr. Robertson was going to win. Just by him, going door to door. I think one of the biggest things that helped him too was he challenged Mr. Franco to debates, and Mr. Franco didn't want to accept the challenges. As far as I know, it made Mr. Franco look pretty weak. Mr. Franco was helped by the police union endorsement, big time, I believe. But also Mrs. Nunes was probably in third place, but she did get hundreds and hundreds of votes. And I believe that was due to because people wanted something different. But anyway, it looked like Mr. Robertson had the edge once again. And Mr. Franco, I don't think he's just not a good. He wasn't a good candidate to upset Mr. Robertson. So anyway, I thought Mr. Robertson would win. Now show him again, Ash. So the other one, we'll say for the other, that was for mayor. For city council, you have Mr. Avalos. He's in the lead against Mrs. Navarro. I believe Ashton, I believe Jim's going to end up winning. The one thing I'm going to say about that race is I really wanted Mrs. Navarro to win during the election, but I don't know if she was walking her district. I don't know. She did have a lot of sign coverage, but Mr. Avalos had sign coverage too. But Mr. Avalos, I knew and I saw him walking a lot in the district. So when I was doing this, I thought that Mr. Avalos would probably win because he was out there a lot. Let me see who else. Oh, Mr. Oseguera. I didn't put him on the chart because Mrs. Camacho had pulled out, so he was going to win, and it looks like he is. Now, if you look at it, school board, Mr. Sahota, I thought he was going to win. It looked like Mrs. Torres had a late start on it, but I do know Mr. Sahota was going door to door. And I don't think he has a good message, but he still was going to win. He was the incumbent, and it was obvious to me he was going to win. Now the other one, this is a very fascinating one. Turn it this way a little bit, Boo. Mrs. Dorte and Mrs. Alanis. Now, I was really wanting Mrs. Alanis to win. I think she did great. But what happens in our town is a lot of people don't do their homework. Most people don't know. And I believe in that area of voting, most people didn't know what Mrs. Alanis had done on that school board. She'd done a great job. And I don't believe most people didn't know Mrs. Dorte. But what I do think happened on that particular race, and this is what I was telling a lot of people, was that if you had 1,000 people voting for these two people and no one's paying attention, you take away their friends and no one pays attention. When you go vote, you're going to see incumbent, which will give you a little bit of an edge usually. But on a school board race, the other person was the educator. So not knowing anything, most people are going to end up voting for the educator. It didn't matter. Nothing else really mattered because no one else really pays attention. And one of the reasons why I relay that to is back in 2014 when I ran, just so maybe this will help people understand, is I campaigned for about 6 months. I don't even know how many people I talked to, 600, 700, 800, I don't know. I mean, it was nonstop. But only 3 people asked me about the schools during that time. Only 3. So I know people don't know what's going on. That's why Mr. Soda got in, is the ignorance of the people. You know, he goes to the door, hey, we're doing a great job. Nobody knows. If you came over here, I'd say you're full of shit. But see, so that's how that works. So I'm pretty positive that's what happened in that race. Mrs. Dorte was helped out by just the voting title underneath as educator on that race. Who else, Boo? Who else do we have? I think we had Miss Bonilla, the health board race, which was, very fascinating. Mrs. Bonilla and Mrs. Avalos. Now, I figured Miss Bonilla would have been great for that position, just like some of the other people, but Mrs. Avalos is already there. She has a horrific record. But once again, she's been voted in twice, doesn't really even campaign, and she has done some horrific things on that health board. So, once again, I think it's just that people aren't paying that much attention. Now, one of the other big things is the turn limits. You have turn limits, and let me see if I can find the. Gosh darn it, I thought I took a picture of it, but anyway, term limits was smashed with yes votes. Oh, here it is. I do have it right here, Ashton. Turn. So as of this week, so nothing's official until December. Yes, yeah. Did you see it, Ash? But as of this week, term limits was 3,600 yes, and almost 700 no's. I mean, that's massive. So what that tells me is that people are looking for different people, new blood. We got the same old crap going on all the time, for the most part. So that's a big telltale sign. Turn limits, and I think Ashton, want to turn on the dog again? And so I think what's going to end up happening is that's going to have to go to the school board. I know I brought it up once. There was no support, but it's very telling that people want term limits. I mean, that's a massive spread. I mean, massive. So I'm glad term limits passed. I thought it would. So not to toot my horn, but I got all the picks right again. It wasn't who I wanted to win, but it's who, if I was betting my house on, would win. And I gave you the reasons why. You know, I saw Mr. Robertson out there all the time. Then he was challenging Mr. Franco to debates. He didn't take it. Mr. Avalos, I saw him walking that area all the time. I didn't see Mrs. Navarro, so I thought that was probably going to happen. Mr. Sahota, I heard he was doing some walking, and so I think that helped him. And Mrs. Dorte, the heading helped her, and Mrs. Avalos, the same. Term limits won. So anyway, 2 years in a row, I've got our Sama elections right. And that's just because I pay attention and I watch what's going on. And I talk to some of these guys, and most of them. All right, Ash. So anyway, looks like that's going to end up being, barring some kind of miracle, that was probably going to happen. Hey, Ash, show everybody that. You want to do that after the show? Okay. So Ashton, he wanted this guy the day after Halloween. Yep, bring it over here. He's been wanting Mr. Scream. Turn it that way. Ghostface. So as soon as we turn this off, we're gonna build Ghostface, and he'll probably be on the next episode, right, Ash? Next week. We'll do another episode next week. So anyway, guys, unfortunately, it looks like once again, yes, Ghostface. We got the same mayor. He's bringing back his old buddy, Mr. Avalos. They campaigned together. I remember back in, I think, 2015, Mr. Larona, there was a complaint filed against Mr. Larona for having a sign supporting Gilbert Lopez. you know, that was like a big deal with the grand jury. But yet these guys all, I mean, the Franco crew and Mr. Robertson's crew, they all do it. They all do what they bitch about. So anyway, Ashton, say thanks to everybody. Please like, subscribe. We'll do another video pretty soon. We're going to call out some board members. We're going to be calling out Mr. Fedor. And I already sent him a couple of emails waiting for a response. I want him to come on the show and explain his voting record. So does he. All right, guys, please like, subscribe, and Ashton, tell everybody bye. Yep, and he's excited, guys. We're going to be building Ghostface. What happened, boo?